In Duskwood, the air was always heavy with shadows, every leaf tipped in poison, every root entwined with secrets. Deep beneath the gnarled canopy, Ilarion's lantern bobbed as he shuffled along a path few dared to tread. His beard, white as winter frost, brushed his chest with each careful step. He paused where the moss was oldest and the brambles most deceptive, and listened to the strange, cold silence. Ilarion was not a fool. The Fae of Duskwood delighted in cruelty. They wove their courts out of envy and delight, their power both dazzling and deadly. For decades, Ilarion had survived as a collector of rare herbs and forbidden lore, tolerated for his talents, and tolerated no further. Tonight, however, he came at invitation, not his own. A circle of thorns marked the entrance, and with a steady hand, he drew a line of salt from his pouch and stepped over it. Lantern glow painted waltzing shapes on a clearing thick with silver mist, and waiting for him beneath a dead yew tree, the Fae nobles glimmered like half-remembered dreams. Bone pale, eyes full of malice and promise. The queen presided above them all, tall, magnificent, thorns blooming in her hair. "Old man," she called, her voice cold as iron, "you have something we desire." The tension prickled Ilarion's spine, but he bowed his head with the caution earned by age. "I come as summoned, your majesty, yet I bring little worth to the likes of you." Her smile was edged with hunger. "Knowledge, Ilarion, the kind mortals should never possess in our realm. You will give it, or pay in blood." Around him, the court circled, anticipation sharp as glass. Ilarion's eyes darted to the shadows at the tree's roots, to the gleaming of hidden eyes, and understood this was not a simple audience. It was a hunt, and he the prey. The queen raised her hand, summoning a bramble whip from the very earth. "Your choice, mortal. Serve or suffer." Ilarion's heart hammered with fear, but memory and cunning flickered in his bones. He bowed again, but as he did, his fingers slipped a tiny blue blossom, deadly nightshade, into the pocket of his cloak. "I will serve," Ilarion said, his words carried softly on the cold air. For a heartbeat, the court smiled, sharp and quick, certain of his defeat. The queen's eyes lingered on him, expectant, their fathomless black promising nothing but ruin. He straightened, the old ache of his knees forgotten in the moment. "The knowledge you seek is not unlocked easily, your majesty," he said, letting his voice quaver just enough to sound harmless. "It lies within the blue stars that bloom only where blood has been spilt and secrets are kept. Would you have me show you?" A pause passed, long enough for subtle glances to pass between the courtiers. Greed tasted sweet as honey among them. At last the queen nodded. "Show us, and you may keep your wretched life." Ilarion knelt at the base of the yew, careful and slow. From his pocket, he drew out the blossom, deadly nightshade, innocent in appearance, fatal in substance. He pressed its petals to his lips and began to chant softly, words winding ancient and crooked about the roots. The court leaned in, hungry for revelation. As Ilarion's chant deepened, the roots of the yew trembled. The earth split, a thin blue mist curling around his feet, fed by the nightshade's potent poison. The Fae pressed closer, their senses dulled by anticipation. It was in this moment that Ilarion's eyes glimmered with something fiercer than fear. The mist coiled around the queen, thickening, its scent sweet and suffocating. "This is the price of knowledge," Ilarion whispered, rising slowly. The Fae's breaths grew shallow, their eyes clouded, but still they could not, step away from the promise of power. Only Ilarion, who had worn wolfsbane on his tongue and carried salt at his heart, was untouched. The queen's fingers spasmed, her thorny crown wilting as the poison sank in. She fixed him with an accusing, desperate gaze, but he did not look away. "I brought you what you sought," he said, "but knowledge always costs." The court crumbled as blue stars mushroomed across the moss, a trail of lethal wisdom left for any so foolish as to covet it. Ilarion watched as the mist thinned and silence reclaimed the clearing, not even the oldest Fae daring to move. With the queen fallen and the court in chaos, he stepped over the salt line, back into the shadowed world he alone now knew how to survive. By the time the dawn's pale rays pierced Duskwood, Ilarion was gone, leaving only the memory of a mortal who had outwitted monsters and the terrible price their hunger for secrets could demand.